Hello everyone and welcome to another video on the channel. This one is going to be an interesting video I think because I've now had the Reverb G2 for about 7 months and I've also had the Quest 2 for about 4 months I think nearly now, and they're used daily, they really are. So I thought it's about time I gave you my opinion on both headsets and which one I think's the best for flight simulation. Yeah, it's actually not an easy sort of debate this, and you might be surprised with some of the things I'm going to say. But I know that this just goes on and on in the forums. I've seen it on Facebook groups. Which is the best? I want to get a headset. You know, I just don't know which one to get. So hopefully I'm going to go through the bullet points of what I like and what I don't like about each headset, and then I'm going to sum it up at the end with my opinion. Okay, and this is just it, guys. It's just my opinion, having, you know, quite a lot of experience using these headsets. This might help you decide if you're on the fence, okay? That's all I can say, really. So I've got a bit of a list here just to remind me. I'm going to start with the Quest 2. Here it is. Here it is, with the link cable all attached here. Now, what are the good points about this headset? Well, there's a lot of good points about this one. First of all, I've got to say, this is by far the most versatile, all-rounder VR headset you can buy in the market. If you're the kind of VR user, if you're an enthusiast, you don't just like flight simulation, but you like gaming, and you like kicking back and watching a video, or just being sort of social in VR, you like, you know, being free of cables, but you also like high-end PC based VR as well, then this really is the best headset out there. Unless you want to like go for an index or something, but then again, if you did that, it wouldn't make any sense, because I think the Quest 2 is a better option because you have the best of everything apart from perhaps the field of view. So what do I like? What do I mean by that in terms of how it's a good all-rounder? Well, obviously you can play this untethered. It's, you know, the standalone experience on this is incredible. It's one of those things that once you've experienced VR without a cable, it's hard to go back, guys. It really is. Of course, as well, is the controllers, which are fantastic. They're the best in the business, really, apart from, say, the index controllers, which I think are exceptional. These are very, very good, and they're just designed really well, and you can just have them, you know, use them all for like hours and hours without any problems at all. Thing is though, I put that in there, but really that doesn't really it's not really important for us flight simmers, is it? Because we're not all-rounders, we are very niche. So I put that point in there as a sort of first thing, but take that with a pinch of salt, because if you're listening to this and your only sort of interest is flight simulation, which if you're on this channel is probably the case, you just can completely ignore what I've just said, okay? So there we are. That's my first point. I had to mention though, because it really is an incredible versatile headset. It really is. So of course, this is the important thing. I think this is probably the key factor here with this headset is the sweet spot. It has a fantastic sweet spot. It really, you won't find anyone complaining, I don't think, about, you know, sort of the range in which the clarity is right on your line of sight. You can move quite far vertically and horizontally with the Quest, and it's not really a problem. Now, there are some factors, perhaps if you are, you know, looking down at, say, the PFD and you're looking out, say, in like the CRJ, or perhaps you're in the F18, you're looking at the DDI sort of screens, everything. In the Reverb, which we'll get to, you kind of have to move your head a little bit to stay in the sweet spot. With this, you still have to do that, but it's not quite as bad. So I have to say, it does take the sweet spot on us. But Oculus headsets have always been quite good at that. Although I do think, weirdly, because I think these are the same lenses, I'm pretty sure that this Quest 2 sweet spot just seems that bit better. I don't know why. Maybe it's just the resolution. Talking of the resolution, that's my third point. The display in this is incredible. It's a really nice resolution on this. It's not as sharp as a Reverb, but it's not too far off. And really just that lack of screen door effect with the optics that Oculus, they know what they're doing when it comes to the lenses. They are really good at that. And I do find the display, although the colours are a bit washed out, I do find this is another strong point to this headset. I don't think you'll find any problems reading the gauges, particularly at native resolution. It's very, very good. Also, actually, talking of sort of the display as well, I do feel that there is a little bit of Mura in this, you know, and you won't hear anyone else say that, but I do think there's a little bit if you're really picky, okay? Because flight simulation, you're often looking at a plain background like the clouds, and that's when you will see the imperfections in the display, and it does have a little bit, okay? So you might be surprised to hear that. Getting on, okay, I've also put here, which I've kind of touched upon already, great tracking, okay. That just, I don't mean just the controllers here, guys. I actually mean the head tracking. I don't think this is broken head tracking in my dark room once. I've got a massive wall, you can't see it because of this fancy screen on, but I've got a wall just here, and sometimes when I look to the left, on very rare occasions, even the G2 can break tracking a little bit. It gets confused. The tracking on this is fantastic because the placement of the cameras, there's 1, 2, 3, 4 cameras on this. I thought there was another one, but actually, unless I'm missing something, no, I think that's it actually with this. But they are placed at the edges of the sort of the frontal area here of the headset. Whether the reverb, they're not at all. You can see here, so that does make a difference actually. But of course, also the controllers tracking is the best in the business. They're really, really good. But I haven't really, you know, paid particularly attention to that because us flight simmers doesn't really matter so much because all you're going to be doing is looking at the overhead and looking down here. That's no problem even on the reverb. But as far as tracking goes, this is still the winner, to be honest, for that. Also, got to say, the software of the Oculus headsets, all of them, from the CV1, the Rift S, I've had all 3 headsets, now the Quest, is fantastic. I mean, you know, I can place my sofa in my VR space and sit down on it if I want to. I can draw a boundary using just like kind of like a spray paint. Even I can use finger tracking as well. All of that technology is in this headset for a very good price as well. So I've got to say, in terms of the software, it's, you know what I'm going to say, guys. I think you're not surprised by that the Oculus Quest 2 also wins that round as well. Anyway, let's get to the bad points of this headset. Now I'm going to start with the link cable here, because as you know, this headset does not have a native display port, and because of that it suffers big time. And really, I've got to be honest, guys, I haven't really been enjoying this headset in PC games until I bought my really powerful computer. I'm now running a 3090 graphics card, and now I'm really enjoying this this headset for PC based VR. Before that, with my 1080 Ti card, it was a bit of a mixed bag, to be honest, and I'd kept getting link dropouts and issues with compression and just terrible frame rates. It's such a shame, because imagine what this headset would have been like if it had some sort of dedicated HDMI port to be able to go into the back of your computer. So because of that, your computer is working overtime. When you ramp up this resolution at native, even my 3090 struggles, okay? It's a massive bad point about this headset, and I think it's a deal breaker, to be honest, for a lot of people, and I totally understand why. In Microsoft Flight Simulator, it is almost nigh impossible to run this at native resolution, even with the most powerful computer you can buy today, with 100% render scaling. You can do it, but it's very, very difficult. And if I start recording as well, I have to back those settings off, guys, because I can't do it in this headset, and it's a great shame. So you have to back off the resolution, and then it starts to get quite grainy. It's a damn shame, and really, the Oculus Link it's come on leaps and bounds. It's brilliant. It really is very good now, and it's very smooth, but it does come with a lot of drawbacks, to be honest, when you consider the likes of the Rift S. Right, that's the really big bad point out of the way. The next one I'm going to talk about, actually, even though the headset is cheap, you need to mod it, guys. I mean, I've got a modified head strap. I've got a VR covers facial interface on it as well. So really, by the time you finish, you could easily spend another £100, particularly with the link cable as well. It could be £200. And then you're getting quite close to the Reverb's kind of price point, okay? So yes, it's cheap, But you know, you need to mod it because when you first get this headset, it is really uncomfortable. I'm sorry, guys. When I first tried this with its crappy strap, I mean, oh my god, I didn't last more than 10 minutes before it was hurting, and like the front of this was just weighing down. I kept having to move it around, and then I wasn't in the sweet spot. I just was not impressed with it. In fact, the videos on my channel are my first experiences with the Quest 2, and I wasn't impressed at all, okay? So there we are. Then I'm going to talk about the third bad point, which is the contentious issue of the Facebook login, which is compulsory. So really, if you, you know, if your data is important to you, and bear in mind, if you've got a Facebook account already, then really they've got your data already, okay? So you can't really moan about it. But if you're not one to have a Facebook account and you like to keep yourself very private and all your data private, which in this day and age, guys, is very difficult anyway at the best of times, then this is a no-go. It's a big cross. You can't have this headset because you have to log in with Facebook. I think that was a very aggressive move by them. It hasn't affected their sales at all, but I do wonder, what would the sales be if it wasn't for that, you know? To me, personally, it doesn't bother me, okay? And I'm a very private person and my data is very important to me, but I know I haven't had any issues with this. I've got nothing to hide. So really for me, it's not an issue, but I know it is for a lot of you, okay? So the last three bad points about the Quest 2 for me personally, we'll just crack on and get these done because this video is going to be an entire day otherwise. But it's the IPD adjustment, or lack of, really. As you can see here, if I just do this, it's very difficult. You can see how I'm moving the lenses there. There's three positions. They're fixed. I know at least two friends who've bought a Quest 2 and struggled with the IPD because it wasn't quite in their sort of line of sight, really. So really, you know, you have to be very careful about and know your IPD beforehand because it's quite limited to those three different positions. For me, I'm quite lucky. My IPD is 65. Melissa's IPD is 58. It's crazy low, but that lower setting works really well for her. So, you know, it's not all bad there, but I do, you know, I much prefer a sort of infinite adjustable IPD like there is on the Reverb. Right, my goodness me. So, two other things now that I don't like about the Quest 2. It has crappy audio. I mean, the audio in the strap is better than the Rift S, but that's not saying much. It's not very good at all. It's very tinny. And really there's not a lot to say about that. The fact it's just rubbish. You need headphones, or sometimes I move the audio source to my big speakers on my desk. Very rare I'll just listen to the audio in the headset, because unless I've forgotten to do it, in which case I'll go, oh, I'll try it, and then instantly regret it and just restart the sim, or you know, change my audio source, because it's just not very good at all. It's just a massive afterthought. I suppose really, you know, for the price point, it's expected, but the audio for me is a very important part of the experience when I'm in VR, and this fails big time. I guess the last thing to say is, while the screen is really great, do not be confused. This is nowhere near as sharp as a Reverb, okay? And the colours in this, while they're quite good for an LCD, they're nowhere near OLED, of course. And again, they fall behind the likes of the Reverb. Okay, right. So that's the good points and bad points. We're now going to move on to the Reverb G2, and we'll do this all again. So here we are. Here's the Reverb. I've had this now for about 7 months or so. You know, it's looking pretty damn good considering how much I use it. I do look after it, and it looks after me, really. But it's not all good news, guys. But let's start with the good news first, okay? And then once we've done that, a few bad points, or well, there's a few more there actually, and then I'll sum this up, okay? Because I appreciate this video is getting long. So what are the good things about the Reverb G2? Well, it's obvious what I'm going to say first, isn't it? It has unrivaled, unmatched clarity, absolutely incredible visuals. You know, you have to make sure, though, that your settings are at native resolution, because a lot of people are not setting that right in SteamVR, and, of course, in Microsoft Flight Simulator as well, and OpenXR. But once you've got that, let's say you know how to do that, the resolution in this is absolutely mind-blowing. It's still amazing to me every day. So that's an obvious. So my second point is the comfort, which is really important in VR. I actually said, I think in one of my last videos, that I feel comfort is the top priority in VR above everything else. And when I say comfort, I do mean the eyes as well, which people tend to forget about that. The comfort in terms of how it fits on your head. Now, I'm using a few mods to this, as you can see here. I'm using the Studio Form Balancer, which is absolutely amazing for that sweet spot. I've got a review of that on my channel if you're interested, and a 5% discount, so check that out. I'll put that in the link in the description below. But anyway, I'm digressing. But even standard, this is a very comfortable headset, and it's extremely light and very well balanced. And it's, you know, it's I guess the padding, it's just a really nice quality headset. So yeah, no one's going to want to stay in VR for very long if they're uncomfortable. It's as simple as that. You know, you don't put a pair of trainers on and they hurt your feet, but you continue wearing them all day. You put them in the bin. You know, comfort is really important, and it nails it. This headset is incredibly comfortable. So well done to HP for that. And that extends as well to the eye fatigue. There's just very little eye fatigue if you make sure that you're running the high resolution and you're in that sweet spot, which we'll talk about in a minute. Okay, guys, hold your horses. And I can feel it already, what you're saying to me on the screen. Right, okay. The next thing is very important as well. You know, I'm a music guy. I do that as my living. So sound for me is important anyway. But I tell you what, in VR, the second probably most important thing to comfort is audio. Something the Quest 2 and many of the headsets fall down on big time. This, with the Index-inspired audio, which floats, again, comfort, you know, floats near your ear, yet gives you the most incredible bass and beautiful crisp audio, is genius. I think Valve should somehow, I don't know, talk to other manufacturers of headsets and get this sort of design on board, because every VR headset should have this design. They are brilliant. And I know some of you have had a few problems with the audio, but in fact, I had a crackle with my left speaker. All I did was basically screw there's a little screw at the back there. Sometimes it gets a bit loose. In fact, it's only happened once in 7 months. Just tightened up a little bit and it's fine again. So I think generally speaking, the audio is a massive deal, and this headset is superb. Has the same as the Index. I was very intrigued when I heard about people raving about the Index audio, and I wasn't convinced, thinking these speakers are just kind of floating in midair. How on earth can they provide that immersion? But they really do. And also, I like the fact that I've got that immersion, but I also am, you know, slightly connected to my surroundings as well, which I think is important when you're in VR. You don't want to be completely, well, it's nice to be completely immersed, but I do find there's a bit of danger there as well. So, yeah, great audio, amazing comfort, superb class-leading clarity. This is another one that's going to surprise you guys, and you might disagree with me, but trust me, I own both headsets. I do plenty of testing with them both. The Reverb G2, you ready for this, performs better than the Quest 2. I get better frame rates with the Reverb G2, and that's simply because of the decoding needed for the Quest 2 that even my 3090 card struggles with. I get superb frame rates with this, with a modern computer, but even with my 8600K 1080 Ti machine, which I still own, by the way, and I've got loads of videos on the channel of that using this headset, I found that this by far, in fact, actually the gap was even further. The Quest 2 could not run with my 1080 Ti card very well at all, yet the Reverb could. And I say, this because of that native display port, there's no decoding necessary. It runs hardwired, so to speak, and it's all the better for it. Oculus, are you listening? Please, Quest 3, have a option for a dedicated display port. That would be fantastic. Right, what else we got to say here? So, yeah, class-leading audio, better comfort, blah, blah, blah. Manual IPD adjustment. That makes a huge difference. It really does. A manual IPD adjustment is very, very cool indeed. Every VR headset should have that. I mean, come on. You know, but there you are. That's my opinion. So the last good point about the Reverb G2 is the colours. Now, this is an LCD display, and I really hope that soon we're going to get OLED VR headsets. That's going to be the new big thing, like it was with phones. You know, my phone's an OLED display, and it's brilliant, it's beautiful, it's vivid. I really want that, a 4K headset OLED screen. I'm sure we all do. But this is almost the next, the thing that's almost as good, but not quite there. Because I've got to say, The colours in the Reverb G2 are exceptional. They're really, really good. The blacks, they are better than the Quest 2 and Rift S, without a doubt. I don't know why, because they're both LCD panels. But the actual colours are really vivid, and I've said that from day one with this headset, and I still say the colours are beautiful, crisp, vibrant. They're not overdone. And I think a lot of that is thanks to MRTV Sebastian, if you're watching this, because he tested out a prototype of the G2 and said, you know, the colours, they need to be just that bit more vivid, and you're there. That's why it needs to be powered. That's why it needs to be plugged in to the mains. But you know what? Again, it's all the better for it. Right, anyway, let's get to the bad points, because there are plenty of bad points about the Reverb G2, I'm sure you all know. The first one, and probably the biggest one, is the sweet spot. Now, you know, compared to the G1 and a lot of other Windows mixed reality headsets, the G2 sweet spot's actually pretty good. Also, I do feel that there's a number of issues why people think the sweet spot's so small, particularly because people are not wearing it properly. It needs to be right on the back of your head. This needs to cup the back of your head. I might do a separate video on tips and tricks on how to get the best sweet spot and keep it there. This helps, by the way, the Studio Form balancer kit. But also, I think because it's so sharp in the centre, you notice when it tapers off. But, you know, there's no getting away from it. The G2 still has a much smaller sweet spot than that of the Quest 2, without a doubt. And it is a shame. There are times that even, you know, when I'm in the cockpit and I'm looking down, or I just want to, you know, glance to my left, and I think, oh, it's really blurry, so you have to move your head. Oh no, you have to move your head. I know it's such a hard life for us VR users, but it's not an issue for me, guys, really, to be honest. But it is something to think about. Okay, right. So what else we got? The software. Now, I think the Windows mixed reality software on a whole is pretty good. It's not as terrible as people make out. I think with the likes of Microsoft Flight Simulator, it works seamlessly with that sim, as well as many others. But it is a bit clunky. It can have a few fits. I don't like the fact that you have to walk the headset around your room to do the boundary. That's very archaic. It's very old-fashioned now. And I guess it can be quite temperamental sometimes, as I say, with sort of like the tracking as well, which is partly to do with software and partly to do with the headset itself. So yeah. Oculus, they always have led the way for software, and they continue to do that without a doubt. So if that is important to you, that's worth considering. So I guess the third point, bad point about the Reverb G2 is, I've put here, it's harder to set up and can be quite difficult, particularly, and you know, it's quite choosy with its USB ports. Now, I think we've all had that 4-1 error, whatever it is. A lot of the time, just a reboot of your computer, or just, you know, unplugging it, waiting a couple of minutes or even seconds, plugging it back in will do the job. But it is a bit finicky sometimes. Even I get it. Honestly, guys, it's not like I don't get any errors at all. But it's not, generally speaking, it's either because the cable has come a little bit loose here, or it's because, you know, you need a bit more power. I actually use a powered USB hub. And if you're interested, guys, I'll link that in the description below. It works a treat every time I switch it on from the powered hub, and it just fires into life. I also have noticed that my USB 2.3 now I've got on this computer is very powerful. It needs a lot of juice, this does, guys. It really does need a lot of juice. So sometimes when you think that you've got a dodgy cable, it might actually just be that you need a powered USB port, or that the cable it's not sitting in there properly. But either way, it is without doubt more difficult and more temperamental. It's a little bit more, I guess this is like an exotic sports car. When it works, it's the best, but it can throw a fit every now and then. Okay, that's one way of looking at it. Right, my last point. In fact, where are they? Are the controllers? Hang on a second. Here they are, the controllers, which are gathering dust, to be honest, because I hardly ever use them unless I'm playing sort of like Half-Life Alyx or something like that. But I really like these controllers in terms of what they've done. I think they've really paid attention to the complaints, but unfortunately it wasn't enough. The thing is with these, there's a couple of things I don't like. First of all, they take 2 AA batteries. Well, you're probably lucky to get 8 hours out of them. The batteries in this, one battery, they last... Wow, this one lasted 2 months. Yes, that's right, guys. 2 months on one battery. That's madness. So there's that to consider. Also, this huge ring gets in the way if you're playing first person shooters, but this is more about flight simulation, admittedly. But in terms of the tracking, it's not as good as the Oculus, but it's not a problem. If you're up here with your overhead panels and you're down here, you know, with the console, the center console, or whatever, it's never going to lose tracking, guys. This is fine. The only way this is going to lose tracking is if you're right back here, which, why on earth would you do that? If you're doing that and you're flying, something's gone very wrong. So for flight simulation purposes, and hopefully, you know, for the likes of X-Plane, and of course when Microsoft Flight Simulator gets controller support, this is going to be really good, even with these controllers. But I've got to say, when compared to the Quest 2, yeah, these are so much better, and for a cheaper price as well. So there you have it. The good and bad points about the Quest 2 and Reverb G2. There's a reason why I own both, guys, because I love both for different reasons. But if I had to pick one for flight simulation, it's got to be the Reverb G2, without a doubt. It's got better clarity, it runs better, and it's so comfortable. And the class-leading audio, it's just a no-brainer. I think for an extra couple of £100, really, because that's all it's going to be once you've you know, added all those extra bits to your Quest. If you're using this headset solely for flight simulation, it's the Reverb G2. But as I say, there's a reason why I own both headsets. Because if you are a VR enthusiast, you like playing games as well as flight simulation, guys, it's the Quest 2. This is the best all-rounder headset out there. It's incredible value for money. It really is. There's a reason why this is the most successful selling VR headset out there. And that's pretty much all I'm going to say for this video. Please let me know in the comments your thoughts and opinions, and I'll be, you know, try and be as active as possible. And reply to, you know, most of them. If I don't reply, please don't worry. You know, it's just sometimes I just don't have the time. But I will read all of them because I'm interested in your views. And that's pretty much it for this video. Thank you so much for watching. And from me and my VR headsets, it's bye-bye for now. Take care.